Welcome to the EOB podcast where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Ben No and joining me is Sen Duong. Hey Sen, so welcome to another podcast.
Yes, I'm still here.
So we see 3 new releases last weekend and we made some predictions which were a bit off. We have the Tim Burton's movie, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Deepwater Horizon, that stars Mark Wahlberg, about that big oil rig explosion and subsequent oil spill down in the Gulf somewhere. And then there's the comedy Masterminds, which stars a lot of funny comedian people like Zach Galifianakis, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Owen Wilson, Kristen Wiig, Leslie Jones, and others, SNL crew, former or not, whatever it is. And I guess we were kind of off this weekend with our projections for the new releases last weekend. Yeah, you bring us in.
Okay, and number 1 is Tim Burton's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It made $28.9 million over the weekend on a budget of $110 million. The worldwide figure is $66 million, which is more impressive. But what were we predicting for this?
Oh yeah, we were both projecting the movie to open in the 10 million range.
Okay.
Well, let's preface that by saying that we said 10 million because Tim Burton's stock has taken a hit with his recent film. Mostly it's because of like Dark Shadows. There's like Big Eyes. Those didn't really perform at the box office, and we're thinking and Frankenweenie too, right? It didn't perform well domestically, and then we're thinking Miss Peregrine's Home is another big budget movie that doesn't have a lot of stars. At least I said that. So it might have that lowish opening, but we were both wrong.
Yeah, was I saying 10 or 15?
No, you said 10.
All right.
You can check back at the previous podcast.
Okay,
you don't want to change it right now.
Yeah,
we have recorded evidence.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna pull a Trump. No, I did not say that. I predicted 29 million.
Right. No, that makes you smart, right?
Yeah, that's true. That makes me smart. Yeah.
Right. You know the box office more than anybody, right? And
you're
more fit to fix this.
Yeah, I know box office better than anyone in the business. My predictions are big and beautiful and huge.
Right.
But anyway,
but just don't want to release records of your previous projections.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm not releasing them because they're under audit.
Right. Okay, Miss Peregrine's.
Yeah. So surprisingly, it did like usual big budget Tim Burton movies as of late, like Dark Shadows. I think it did about this amount, about 29 million. It did significantly better than what you and I had expected, but I wonder what the industry was expecting.
Well, the thing is they have tracking numbers way in advance. They polled people, and I think they're probably kind of expecting like similar figures, plus or minus a couple million here and there, right?
Yeah.
But I think more worryingly is the B+ cinema score and the 64% tomato meter. The reviews and the audience scores are not that good.
Yeah, although the reviews were better than I had expected. 64% for a genre film, essentially a genre family film.
Is it a family film?
PG-13. Yeah, not exactly a family film. I took my kids to see it.
You wouldn't call Tim Burton stuff a family film per se. Like that's this weird stuff in it.
Yeah, the monsters are a little bit too scary for kids, but PG-13. So around 13 years, they're good.
Okay. All right. But anyway, I think we misjudged this movie. I think frankly because that this movie is based on a book.
Yeah, it's based on a popular novel, but again, not every movie based on a book, ends up being successful. And this one, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, isn't a very popular book in the U.S., right?
I'm not sure. I'm out of these, literary stuff.
Yeah, so it did way better than we expected, but at a budget of 110 million, it's still, kind of disappointing. I think depending on how it holds up, it might make back that budget or not. They'll probably do like 80 or 90 at least. But the B+ cinema score is kind of worrying because with family films, with kids, they tend to rank a lot higher. They tend to be in the A- in the A range for family films. So B+ is kind of on the slightly, below average for this genre.
Okay, I mean, you keep on saying it's a family film. I kind of disagree with it, but it's one of these movies, like, family films, right? You have to have, the kids are interested in the movie. You have to have the adults interested in the movie.
Well, it's targeted at the family audience, let's put it this way.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and the people who dragged me to it were my nephews.
Okay.
And so it didn't come from me, it actually came from them, so I guess there were some interest from kids, yeah.
Yeah, well, comparing to the competition of the new releases, I guess Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is it. It has the special effects, it has the fantasy elements, it has, all the visuals, and Eva Green.
Yeah, it does seem like, a X-Men for little kids. There's these kids with special powers, a house in a building. That mixed in with, Harry Potter. But, the worldwide figure, even at 110 million, is doing pretty well overseas. It made 37 million overseas. The worldwide figure is at 66 million, which is very good.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with Tim Burton's movie recently. It's like his worldwide take saved his domestic take. His domestic take is always kind of like not great. Those figures not great, but it's the overseas market that's really giving him employment.
Right, which is allowing him to continue to make these $110 million movies on subjects that are not, super mainstream, slightly weird, but is being pushed to a mainstream audience.
Right. So again, I guess this is a material that's found a perfect director, kind of a great marriage between material and director.
Right. Or it could have been not as eccentric, but because Tim Burton is directing it, he made it a little bit more weird, strange.
Yeah, but then again, the worrying thing is that reviews are not glowing, not that great, only 64%, and the audience score, cinema score, is only B+, which is like, meh, average.
Yeah, based on that, it'll probably not hold up that well. But again, we do have to think about Halloween. Halloween is coming up. This movie does have Halloween elements. We'll see if the cinema score will weigh higher or the Halloween holidays will have more weight on the audience.
Okay, something we will keep an eye on for this movie.
All right.
Okay, how about we move along to number 2?
Sure.
Which is occupied by Deepwater Horizon, the Mark Wahlberg, Peter Berg team up. They collaborated on the thriller Lone Survivor. So Deepwater Horizon put in 20.2 million over the weekend. We predicted the movie to be higher, to open higher. I said 30, you said 27, and I think it was based on the belief that, hey, Mark Wahlberg is a dependable box office draw, and then that
and Peter Berg is a dependable genre director.
Exactly.
And the two of them, Lone Survivor did really well. It opened to like 35 or 40 million.
38 million.
38 million, so right in the middle. We were not expecting this to do as well, but we were expecting this to do a bit better.
Right. In our preview, we said that Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg had a successful pairing, and and Mark Wahlberg is a dependable drop, but it's the subject matter, oil well explosion, good commercial material.
Right.
And I guess we kind of found out.
Right, yeah.
Which is still dependable, right? 22.2 million opening, which is dependable. Which is a pretty good opening, really, for the subject matter, I guess.
Yeah, for the subject matter. And it's well reviewed, surprisingly. 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. For Peter Berg, it's pretty surprising. His films haven't been that well reviewed. And that's what made me project is slightly higher than prediction than I would have based on the subject matter, because neither of us thought the subject matter was mainstream enough to draw a huge audience. Still, at 20 million, at a budget of 110 million, it's going to end up losing money.
Well, here's the thing though, it has great reviews, it has an A- cinema score, right? It could stay in theaters for a long time. We don't know. We have to see how it holds up.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it holds up. But in order to make 110 million domestically, you would have to have a multiple of 5.5 times, which is even for a leggy movie, it's on the higher end. So yeah, we'll see. But this opening figure is not very promising. Great reviews, great cinema score. Might pull it to 80 million, but I don't think it's gonna get much more than that.
And as we said, this movie might not appeal overseas because, it's more of a domestic story.
Right. And the overseas figure so far is only hasn't opened that wide yet, but in the territories that it has opened in, which is a dozen countries, it made about 12.5 million. So the worldwide figure is around 33 million. With a 110 million budget, that's again not that good. This is kind of disappointing.
It's another movie we will keep an eye on. It could stay in theaters and keep on accumulating money. As long as it stays in theater, it's doing okay. It's going to do okay, but we'll see how long it'll stay in theaters.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the number 3 movie, The Magnificent Seven. It did 15.6 million over the weekend. The drop off is 55%, which is kind of high. After 2 weeks, it has already grossed 61.5 million at a budget of 90 million. This is decent, but not great. The worldwide figure is 102 million so far, which is, again, decent, but not great.
Well, yeah, you could say that's what The Magnificent Seven is, how you describe the movie and how its box office performance is decent but not great. I think that's what the review is like too, right? Decent but not great. Review is only 63%.
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so moving along to number 4 is the Warner Brothers animation Storks. It pulled in about 13.5 million over the weekend, experienced a 37% drop off. The budget 70. Again, another decent but not great animation movie that's targeted toward children.
Right. And it's holding up decent, so it might make back a 70 million budget. The worldwide figure is pretty good. Worldwide has already grossed 78 million. I think these kind of movies do really well on home video. So I think, despite doing just decent but not great numbers, they'll probably make some money on home video.
Right, and that's the most important thing for the studios anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we move along to number 5, Sully. It pulled in 8.3 million over the weekend, experienced about 39% drop off, and it crossed the 100 million barrier at the domestic box office, 105 million. The worldwide take is 151. So this movie, just kind of like Deepwater Horizon, it's not going to be big overseas, because it's more of a domestic story, takes place in the US and doesn't have like worldwide repercussions, etc. It's not a superhero movie, it's not a disasters movie, it's it's kind of like a character study, a drama. So that's why we're not seeing great international numbers.
But at a modest budget of 60 million and because it's already doing so well domestically, it's a hit.
Yeah, it's a hit for Tom Hanks, who I guess has been in a funk recently with his movies. Like Hologram for Kings, which is kind of like limited. Bridge of Spies, which is decent but not great.
Yeah.
Right, Saving Mr. Banks. These movies didn't crack 100 million.
Right. All right. At 6 is Masterminds. It did 6.5 million over the weekend, which is actually pretty bad considering it opened in 3,000 theaters. What figures were we predicting? I was kind of high on.
It was high. Yeah, I said 12. You said 10.
Oh, I said 10. Okay, so
yep.
Not too bad. We weren't expecting a huge hit, so it did below that.
Yeah, I thought it could do higher, but maybe because their previous movies, even though it doesn't appeal to me, I thought it was kind of weird. It has this retro vibe. These characters taking themselves too seriously. It has a weird mix, and I guess that's why other people are kind of seeing it too. Maybe that's why with the lower box office take, even though it stars some pretty good comedians.
Well, it stars mostly supporting characters, supporting comedians from other films.
That's true, but together I think they could still do decent business. But
yeah, same here. But unfortunately, just couldn't pull it off. And seems like Kristen Wiig, after Bridesmaids, on her own, just not a person who can draw an audience.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you need interesting characters, right? But let's bring in some numbers, right? I mean, the movie is poorly reviewed, 38%. It's not just the critics, right? It's the audience rejecting the movie too, like a B- cinema score.
Right.
It's not good all around.
Right.
And the thing about Kristen Wiig is that she's, she is kind of like a supporting player, right? You need, I think, her Bridesmaid has some very colorful characters.
Yeah, well, she starred in Bridesmaids, and then after Bridesmaids, people thought, hey, she was the star in that movie. She was probably the engine of the movie and the star of the movie, and they thought she would be the next big comedian. But turns out that next big comedian, was actually Melissa McCarthy.
And the other one, right? This other one. Forgot her name. She's kind of chubby.
Was she in that one too?
No, she is. Rebel Wilson.
Oh, okay, Rebel Wilson. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out they're the, dependable. Well, it depends. Rebel Wilson, I have to see her headlining a movie. So far, she's been only supporting movies, and those movies have been successful.
Yeah. She's kind of like the Rob Schneider of female comedians.
Yeah. Well,
you add her for that little spice.
Yeah. Although you saying she's the Rob Schneider of comedians is more like a knock on her. I don't think.
No, she's better than Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
Still.
But I get what you're saying.
Kind of like that.
Throw her in, she adds a little spice, and yeah.
Like if you have a dull leading actress, a lead, you add her to spice things up.
Right. But I wonder if she can headline that film though, because so far she's been in a bunch of movies as the supporting funny sidekick, and they've been very successful. But now I'm wondering, can you reverse it and put her as the headliner and add other people to support her, like Melissa McCarthy, and whether or not that can be successful?
Well, I don't think you can have sustained. We don't know, but my bet is probably no.
All right.
She probably has to play tone it down.
I don't know. Melissa McCarthy hasn't toned it down. She just that's what people like in Bridesmaids, and she continues to play that character, and she's doing really well. But which is kind of interesting because Rebel Wilson, she's been successful as a sidekick. Now the next thing would be interesting to. You said you don't think so. I don't think so, but who knows, right?
Yeah, you never know. It's just finding the right material.
Yeah. They've been using her to support other people, but what if they find other people to support her? Kind of like what they did with Melissa McCarthy. They found other people to support her, and turned out she was the real star of Bridesmaids. No knock on Kristen Wiig.
No. But they all have their own niche, right?
Yeah.
Or niche.
Right. Yeah.
Getting back to Masterminds is one of these movies where you have a lot of funny people getting together, and the project just fails.
Yeah. Kind of a bunch of popular supporting comedians, and they just don't. Yeah.
No, I just think that someone thought this material is better than it is. I think if they make a straight up comedy and not try to make it look like the 80s with all these pastel colors and all this thing, I think it would be a better movie. But they try to go retro. For some reason they like that.
Yeah, it could be. But look, Melissa McCarthy made every one of her films hits, despite being trash, despite being a couple of them considered crap. So if you have someone a big draw, they can probably make something like this work.
Well, I'm not disputing that, but they don't have that.
Yeah, that's what.
But I'm just saying, it works despite that. What I'm saying, it worked despite that.
Yeah.
But this one, Masterminds, is that they don't have someone to kind of lift everything up.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Let's move on to number 7. You pronounce it.
I think it's Queen of Katwe. Yeah, Katwe. I think it's.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so that movie came in number 7. Kind of surprising. I pulled in 2.5 million in its expansion. It was released limited the previous weekend, and this second weekend they added like 1,000 plus theaters. The budget is 15, and this one is released by Disney. It's not quote unquote a Disney movie, right? They do more commercial stuff. This is more like a award season play. It's directed by Mira Nair and stars Laputa Nyong'o and David Olilovo. Nair directed some pretty critical movies. Monsoon Wedding, right? It is Salam, Bombay, Vanity Fair, and a couple others. So yeah, it just popped up in the top 10.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a very good figure.
Well, it's not a commercial movie.
Yeah, as a wide release, that's not 2.5 million. It won't stay in there. I don't think those theaters will keep it around for too long.
Yeah, but like I say, it's a well-reviewed movie, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It'll try to go for the award season, try to get it more notoriety.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because that's the only way to recruit money from this, right?
Yeah. They might have to pay some theaters to keep it around for a little bit. Hopefully, good word of mouth will spread.
Yeah, and awards play and home video play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Don't Breathe, 2.4 million is still holding up, still hanging in there. The drop-off is only 37%, which is great for a horror film. After 6 weeks in release, it has already closed 85 million at a budget of just 9.9 million. The worldwide figure is at 129 million. Which is pretty good.
Yeah, and coming in at number 9 is Bridget Jones's Baby, pulled in 2.3 million in its third weekend, experienced about 50% drop off, and I thought it would get to about 40-some million domestically, but by the way it's going, it's not going to get there. The domestic gross is only about 21 million so far, so I think 40 million is out.
Yeah.
Then worldwide, 120 million, and as we said, it's a bigger movie overseas than here.
Right, and if you just look at the budget, it's 35 million budgeted film that did 120. So it should make a lot of money for Universal. But if you compare we'll have to see how much better it does overseas. Even though it's going to be hugely profitable, compared to the previous 2 films, which made around 280 million plus worldwide each, we'll see how far this figure goes. But it's looking kind of disappointing so far, even though it's going to be hugely profitable.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the previous 2 movies, but it's still going to be profitable for Universal. And, I guess it's kind of like so many years between movies already. You expect some interest to dissipate, right?
Yeah. And it is a well-reviewed film, like, 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just not catching on to the U.S. market. And
yeah, it wasn't that big of a hit domestically anyway, right? Yeah. I mean, the first movie, I guess, pulled in about 70 million domestically. Second movie, dropped off to 40.
Yeah.
And now the third movie, it's probably going to end up, 30?
Yeah, not 35, at most 30. It might have a tough time reaching even 30 million.
Okay, so it just fell off. Interest level just fell off at the domestic market. All right, rounding out the top 10 is Snowden. It pulled in about 1.9 million. Experienced a 52% drop off from the previous weekend, pulled in about 18.6 million over 3 weeks at the domestic box office. The budget is 40, and internationally, worldwide, it still hasn't opened internationally, so the box office take remains at 18.6 million.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dud from Oliver Stone.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's it for the top 10. Let's move on to the openings. We have 3 new releases, wide at least. We have The Girl on the Train, which is based on a popular novel that's just released last year by Paula Hawkins, The Girl on the Train. Then there is another kind of like YA movie based on a YA children's series. Is it YA or is it just a children's series? Called Middle School. And then we have the drama The Birth of a Nation, which got quite a buzz at the film festivals.
Right. And then bad buzz afterwards. Not bad buzz, controversy afterwards.
Yeah, unrelated to the movie, but because of the director.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we talk about The Girl on the Train, which I think might be the bigger movie of the 3. Okay, it stars Emily Blunt, Rebecca Ferguson. Let me take a look at other people involved in this. If you know, you can chime in.
Yeah. I guess it's, people kind of expecting The Girl on the Train to... It's kind of an erotic thriller, kind of like Gone Girl, probably.
Yeah.
So far, the reviews on there is, only 55% on Rotten Tomatoes with about 20 reviews, I think. I can see it, but this movie doesn't have David Fincher, and it's a movie that's targeting the, adult female crowd, which both of us tend to not be very in tune to, and our predictions tend to be kind of off. So,
well, speak for yourself.
Yeah, right.
Don't lump me in with you.
That's true. All right.
I'm in tune with everything. Yeah, but yeah, this movie is, like you said, kind of marketed toward the same demographic as the Gone Girl last year. It's opened around the same time as Gone Girl, right? It's one of these thrillers. I think Gone Girl is about missing woman who, well, we don't want to spoil it for anyone who haven't seen it, right?
Yeah.
And this movie is kind of like in the similar vein. There's domestic disputes, there's affairs, there are there's even a murder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
All these things plays. It was based on a popular book.
Yeah.
2005, just last year, and they quickly made a movie.
2005 or 2015?
Oh no, yeah, 2015.
Okay.
2015. It was released in 2015, the book, and then they quickly turned around and made this movie.
So they're striking the iron while it's hot.
Yes.
Okay. So what are you thinking? Emily Blunt hasn't been despite great buzz and she's a great actress. She's dependable, but at the box office, her films tend to do middling numbers. So she's not a huge draw at the box office, despite some buzz and respect.
Well, it depends on which movie, right? I mean, she kicks butt as an action actress for some reason.
Yeah, but even Sicario ended up not doing as well as expected. And that was kind of an action thriller.
That's true, but the thing that movie was kind of marketed weird. It wasn't released wide. It was
released wide. It had one of those platform releases. It was released, a limited release, and it did pretty well. Reviews were great, and then when they dumped it in like 2,000 screens, it didn't do as well as expected. I mean, I think they still ended up making money on it, but people were expecting bigger numbers.
Yeah, I think that movie was marketed wrong. I think they were trying to go for an awards play, but with the platform releases,
I don't.
I'm
not sure.
And not marketed toward the right demographic, I think. So I don't know. But
I kind of disagree though, because I watched the trailer and it is marketed as a butt kicking. Like she's the star. There's action, there's suspense. It's marketed as zero dark 30.
Okay. All right. So getting back on The Girl on the Train. It's based on a popular novel. The thing is that once it's based on a book, kind of like all bets are off. Our metric is kind of off. We don't really know how popular the book is.
Yeah.
Even though even the book really sold a lot of copies, but the people who read the book will come out to watch it. As a comparison, right? Gone Girl had a 37 million opening, and that's with Ben Affleck, David Fincher, and other people involved. I think this one, I guess, based on the book popularity, I'm bringing in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children as well. I think the book helps it, so I think it's going to probably have a 30 million opening.
You think it's that high?
I think it's that high because, like I say, it's based on a book. All bets are off. You might not like the movie, but I think there are fans of the movie, and it's marketing toward the same demographics as Gone Girl.
Right. I'll go with 20.
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
I was originally going to go 15, so I'll stick with my gut and go 15.
Okay, 15 million because?
Sure, it's based on a popular book, but Emily Blunt doesn't open movies, and this doesn't have David Fincher, so yeah, I'm going 15.
Just as a counterpoint to you, right? There's the 50 Shades of Grey movie, which doesn't star well-known people.
Yeah, but 50 Shades of Grey, you don't understand, is a phenomenon. So something like, 100 million copies? Or something in that stratosphere? I don't think The Girl on the Train is anywhere near that level of popularity. Because, 50 Shades of Grey is kind of like on a Harry Potter level, where they sold like hundreds of millions. Because there are books that are hits, they sell a couple million copies. I'm not sure how many millions of copies this one sold, but I don't think it's like 100 million copies.
All right. Well, we will find out. We will know how popular Girl on the Train is this coming weekend. Whether it's a popular one or not. But I think there's a couple of things that's in its favor, right? The quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Strike while it's hot. 2015 book turned into a 2016 movie.
Right. Yeah.
Emily Blunt, you could do worse than Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of an erotic thriller murder mystery.
Yeah.
There's that. So 30 million for me. You say 15. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay. How about we move on to middle school? It's kind of based on a children book series.
Right.
Kind of like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, about life in middle school.
Yeah.
not my type of movie. It's a movie that takes place in middle school, about middle school kids who do stuff. I mean, teachers, principals, bullies, crushers, etc., the usual stuff, right?
Yeah, the trailer didn't impress me.
Me neither. I felt that it looks like one of these Nickelodeon or Disney, television
Made for
series.
TV things, right?
Yeah. But again, we are not the target audience. It's really children who read the books.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and as a comparison, the first Wimpy Kid movie, Roger Rules, I believe, opened to 23 million, and it pulled in 52 million domestically.
Yeah.
And Wimpy Kid 2 had a 14 million opening and pulled in 49 million domestically.
Right. So do you think this will draw that kind of crowd?
I don't think this is that as popular as Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna have but I don't know. Like I say,
you and I don't.
When it gets to these films that are not targeted toward us, or kind of metric is kind of off, kind of like Girl on a Train, middle school.
And as a parent, if I had a teenage kid, I'm like, I don't know if I want to take them to see this. No.
Yeah. It's kind of like sitting through like graduation speeches, right?
Yeah. It's one of those teens versus adult movies, and of course the teenagers are gonna win, and not that I like losing and being made fun of, but
Right.
But anyway, we're thinking too much into the storyline, so I'm putting 5 million.
Exactly. So
5 million.
You 5, okay. I'm going to go higher, and say 15.
Right.
The demographic is there. It is a popular book series. If Logic Rules and Wimpy Kid 2 had, between 15 to 23 million opening, I'd say, somewhere in between.
All right.
15 million.
All right.
You said 5.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to The Birth of a Nation, which was a hit at Sundance, right?
Sundance and a couple other film festivals.
Yeah, but I think Fox Searchlight bought the rights for it for like 17 or 18 million or something like that, which is like some kind of record. It was really high. On the tomato meter, it's with 45 reviews, it's at 80%. It's a movie about real life character, Nat Turner, who was a slave and preacher, and he eventually led a rebellion against their owners. It stars Nate Parker,
who wrote and directed.
Yeah, who wrote and directed as well. Yeah, and Gabriel Union. He had a lot of buzz from the film festivals, and with the record price that Fox Searchlight paid, they're probably expecting this to do decent and rack up awards and stuff. But and then there's a controversy over an incident in college that Nate Parker did, which was he and a couple of his friends were accused of raping a college student. Nate Parker was eventually found not guilty, but his partner in crime was. But eventually it wasn't pursued, and then the victim committed suicide recently. And rape plays a huge part in this movie. In the movie, the rape of Nat Turner's wife caused him to eventually rebel, rise against the slave owners. So there's a huge controversy, and people will probably not feel as as good about supporting this movie because of real life events.
Right. So huge buzz from the festivals. Awareness, there's the Nate Parker controversy. There is the current event with the like the African American people clashing with the police. You could say it's one of a timely movie.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Without the controversy, this would have been the perfect film. Especially with Oscar too white, it would have been the perfect film, and that's why Fox Searchlight probably paid so much money for it. But then the Nate Parker controversy has kind of took all that hype and enthusiasm and timeliness and probably dragged it down to a kind of weird thing where it's kind of like Michael Jackson during his child molestation accusations, where people, even though he's producing great music, people, they don't want to be seen buying his records, or when you hear his music you feel a little bit off.
True. But we don't know how much that the Nate Parker thing affects this movie, though. Awareness is awareness.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't know how much, how
But this is bad
how
awareness.
it'll affect it.
This is bad awareness.
That's true. That's true too. For this movie though, I mean, I think more worrying for this movie is that this is one of these dramas, and as we said in previous podcasts, dramas and historical dramas don't usually do that well at the box office.
Yeah. It depends. It depends,
but more likely than not, though.
More likely than not. But without the Nate Parker controversy, this would have been a perfect film to release right now. Because of Black Lives Matter, because of Oscar So White, and this is a movie that's written and directed and starring, an African American. This has huge awards buzz, and because of that controversy, kind of took all that down, and now I don't think it's getting as much support as it should be getting, and it's not being promoted probably as well as it should be because of the controversy too. So what are you thinking how this movie will do? I don't know. I'm just thinking 5 million now.
Yeah, me too. That's where I'm going at. This movie will have a 5 million opening, around there. I mean, Selma, for comparison, had a 11 million opening.
Yeah.
And Selma had a bigger cast, more stars.
Right.
And I think, I guess, a broader demographic than Birth of a Nation. It appeals to more people, I guess, the subject matter.
Yeah. Although I think this is more timely.
It is, but we said that about other movies. Like I said, dramas don't usually, especially one that's targeted toward the African American audience, that don't usually do that well at the box office. And I'm betting on that here as well. Even though it has all these controversy, even though it has all these buzz from the festivals, but that demographic don't usually follow the festivals. I think they want more entertainment. I'm painting with a broad brush here, right? I'm painting with a broad brush, but usually that's what happens.
Yeah, I can see your point of view. But I think this, to me anyway, I thought this could have been the perfect film to be released right now. But I mean, especially towards the African American audience, and especially because of Black Lives Matter, they're probably primed to see a film like this, and a film that they can probably support. But because of the controversy, it's kind of weird.
Okay, yeah, we said that about other movies as well, but it didn't perform that well. So I say we'll see this weekend.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying 5 million. You're also saying 5 million. Mine is based on the controversy dragging everything down. But without the controversy, I would have put it a lot higher.
Okay. And it could still end up opening higher.
Yeah, so we'll see.
All right, and I think that's it for this week. Come back next week and see how we did.
All right.